having driven in from the Chicago suburbs, as my father doesn't like to fly. My father tries never to miss one of his grandchildren's birthday parties. My aunt and father stood around at first while on the bouncy mats at the gymnasium, making some small talk with the adults, and later ate their pizza speechlessly in what was known as the party room, where all of the 4-year-olds played their toy kazoos at once. My father and aunt were likely exhausted from the travel, but also exhausted because they are old and in poor health. They were exhausted before all the standing. I observe on this trip that my father has gotten heavier and seems less mobile than before. When my father measures the distance between the last time he saw my 1.5-year-old daughter, he observes that she's become more mobile, even though it's only been a few months, and I observe he's become less mobile. My aunt, who I haven't seen since last summer, seems to have lost weight, although she is still not very mobile. They both seem gray and unhappy. A startle to realize that my aunt is only in her late 60s, not so old, I tell myself, but only because I myself have gotten older. My aunt is now a senior citizen, but she is still the baby of the family, and my father, being her last surviving sibling, takes it upon himself to try to look after her, as she in turn looks after him. In this way, when together, they resemble an old married couple, which I realize the adults in the room probably think if they don't know my sister well, which most of them do not. Still, I am a kid to them, even though I am suddenly a middle-aged adult. On this visit, my father and I take my daughter to a playground near where I live. Over this trip, where I see them only twice as they are staying near my sister's, which we all prefer, both my aunt and my father tell me that they each bought a new television set. My father has now told me several times he bought a new television set, and each time I let him tell me again, as if for the first time. My father's new television set is much larger, 70 inches, he says, to which each time, whether over the phone or now in person, I attempt some sort of noise that seems appropriate to the amount of space his new television set takes up. However, I have no idea how many inches the television set that's been in his living room for the last decade was, and how it compares to the new one. His son, my brother, the computer science professor who lives in the Midwest and is far more dutiful than I, helped him install it, he tells me. He still has the same, much smaller second television set in the basement. Or perhaps he moved the larger set upstairs, downstairs, replacing the much smaller set. But he doesn't watch television down there anymore, he tells me. I have a new television set, he tells me, which I interpret as another way of saying, I am not going down the stairs anymore. Also, as we sit on the bench at the playground and watch my daughter go down a slide, he tells me, after much nudging as to the state of his health, that he's worried about not passing his night vision driving test. So he's also saying, I got a new, larger screen so I can see better. On the television set, he watches a different John Wayne Western every night. He has a collection of 250 Westerns, he tells me, which seems like an exaggeration, although likely not all are John Wayne movies. The internet just told me that John Wayne made at least 73 films. My father has mostly stopped reading. He is, or was, an avid reader of histories and biographies, but he still watches one Western a night. My father also tells me, again, that recently he also purchased a new, much larger fish tank. Although he doesn't wish to go on trips to Italy or buy new clothes, even though all of his clothes are worn, he chooses to buy a new, much larger television set and a new, much larger fish tank, all in the living room, where he spends the majority of his time. So he has 2 new, larger screens. On one he watches John Wayne, and the other fish swimming by. Although my father has to stand to watch the fish, as he cannot reorganize the living room space, which has been the same configuration since my mother died 15 years ago. She died in that living room, in a hospital bed facing the television set, which was